July is Diagnostics Month here at TTS, and it's also the middle of summer and it is hot. So it's the perfect time to talk about diagnosing an AC system and the tools that I use to do that. Automotive AC work is one of my two favorite jobs in the industry, and it's probably got something to do with me coming from Las Vegas. Now there, you know it gets hot, but people could be driving around in a car with a check engine light on, they could have bald tires, maybe their brakes are squeaking, but I can guarantee you those windows are going to be rolled up because their AC blows ice cold. It's an absolute necessity. So I used to do a lot of AC work, and I still do it today, just not as much, but I really enjoy it. Mostly because AC work involves three different types of trades. You've got electrical, mechanical, and plumbing. Starting with electrical, most cars now are electrical and digital. A lot of computer controlled things, from the mode doors, everything at the head unit, even the AC compressor is controlled digitally now. So you're going to need a good scan tool that can read data from all the modules in the HVAC system so that you can properly diagnose it. The most modern cars are going to give you all sorts of information, from temperatures to pressures inside the lines, and also pulse width modulated control of your AC compressor. It's an absolute must-have on modern cars. But even the older cars are partially, at least, electrically controlled, so you're going to need a good DVOM. This is a voltmeter. And a lot of times I'll set this to ohms because I'm checking the compressor clutch for continuity, and I also want to measure how much resistance is inside the coil. I've got both ends of the clutch hooked up there, and we can see the resistance here. It's about 4 ohms, which is a good healthy clutch. That's what you want to see. So there's my compressor clutch there. Now the wiring harness for that is here, and I've got some test leads hooked up to it. Let's see where they go. Just down here underneath, it's on the ground strap. And right up here, I've got the other end of the red test lead. Now I'm going to go to this stud here. It's got 12 volts to it, and I'm going to listen to that clutch to see if I can hear it click when I apply some power to it. Perfect, so our clutch is working just fine. Some cars are completely computer controlled, and some still are controlled by relays, so you need to know how to test relays and computer controlled circuitry to make sure you get a proper diagnosis. Moving on to plumbing now, we've got a manifold gauge set, which is absolutely necessary to see what the pressures are inside the system, both on the high side and the low side. You can hook your hoses up to those fittings and you can read the dials to see what's going on inside. A fully integrated AC machine like this one is something that you'll see at most professional shops. It's got the same high and low gauges on there and the same hose fittings, but inside the machine are a few more capabilities, like a scale. So when I pull refrigerant out of a system, I can weigh that to see how much was in there, and I can gauge how much of a leak I'm looking for. And of course, it's got the capability to recharge that system once I'm done with the repair, so I can get those ice cubes flowing back out of those vents. Speaking of leaks, there's two different ways that I like to check for leaks. Number one is with a Freon leak detector like this one. It's cordless, so you just push the power button. It's gonna sample air from this tip, and then it's gonna give you a readout and different beeping noises to tell you how much Freon that it detects in a certain area. So you can get in there pretty good, look for leaks in tight spots. I like using this. Another way to do it is to charge the system just a little bit and use some soapy water and a flashlight. This is a pretty low-tech method, but it really works well. Get a lot of dish soap or something inside your spray bottle and spray around the joints where you suspect there could be a leak, and then use your flashlight to look for bubbles. If you see any, even one bubble, that's no good at all. That's a leak and it's got to get fixed. A third way to check for leaks, and it's pretty popular, is using UV dyes. You can add a dye to the PAG oil inside the system, and as it circulates while it's running, some of that dye will seep out where any leak could be, and if you use a UV flashlight and special glasses, you can really pick up on a leak pretty easily. Now, I don't personally use that method to find leaks. A lot of people do. I don't even own a UV light or the glasses. Maybe I should pick one up, but so far I've been able to diagnose any AC leak using either the soap and water method or using the refrigerant detector. Trade number 3 for HVAC, that's mechanical. You get to get in there, it's nuts and bolts kind of stuff. You get to use your tools, and you get to replace parts. It makes the engine bay or the under dash area look better because you've got that shiny new stuff and you know you're about to hit the home stretch, which means we're about to feel some ice cubes coming out of the vents. And to measure that, to make sure that we did the job right, you need to have a thermometer. Now this one is a digital thermometer made by PowerStroke, and it's got 2 remote sending units. It's got 2 because you might be working on a car that has front and rear AC, so you want to monitor the vent temperature out of both of those. Now, of course, you can use just a regular thermometer. It looks kind of like the ones that chefs use and poke it in the turkey. It just gets poked into the vent there, and it works just fine, but I really like the different capabilities of this one.
Ambient temperature is 67 here in the shop, and we've got 41, 42 degrees coming out of the vent.
If you're new to HVAC and you're just dipping your toes in the water, I would recommend just dive in head first. Now I know there's a lot to learn here, but if you have access to some of these tools, it is totally worth it. It's a very rewarding segment of auto repair. The smile on people's face when they can sit in an ice cold car in the middle of summer is priceless. Thanks for watching.